Welcome back, guys. So today we are getting our creative on and doing some Halloween decorations. Doing something a little bit different though. We are creating pieces with UV resin and a little bit of our Resi Clear to be able to put on corners of mirrors or window frames or door frames as decorations for Halloween. So I'll run through with you what I've got today and then we'll get started. So to create our shapes, I've got a piece of form ply here. This particular form ply, the black coating on it releases really well. I do suggest testing your pieces first to ensure that the resin does release, because the aim of it is to create your shape and then be able to demold it and pop it on as a decoration around your house. I've got a white wax pencil and I've got a ruler. So that way I can draw onto my black surface my shape. I have some UV curing resin. With my UV curing resin, along with that comes with our black UV lights. So I have a little nail lamp and also a black UV torch, and these will actually cure your resin. So once we've got our design in shape, my aim is to go over the top of the design with our UV curing resin and then cure it with our UV black lights. Now, after I've created my shape with the UV resin, I then fill it, and we're using our Resi Clear to fill, and we are using our translucent dyes. And the reason I want to keep it translucent is because if I do put it on a window or a mirror, we'll be able to see through it and it'll have like a stained glass effect. So we'll get started. Okay, so I plan to create another spider web, so it can be attached to the corner of a mirror, window or door frame. And I have my trusty ruler here that I can actually measure my angle. So I'm just going to set a 90-degree angle first of all. Just zero out my ruler. So this particular ruler, it has a digital display here that shows me what angle I'm at. And these types of rulers you can get anywhere from most of your hardware supplies, potentially even discount stores, and that I think have a hardware section as well. So I'm just setting that so it's at 90 degrees, and I'm going to line the inside of my angle, and I'll aim to go about 14 centimeters long and just mark it with my white wax pencil. And to keep my web simplified, so at the moment I have a nice white right angle here. To keep my web simplified, I'll do another additional 2 lines through the center, and then we can start creating the angled web sections. So I know if I want to have this 90-degree angle divided into 3 sections, so I need about 30-degree angle. So I'm just going to zero out again. The reason why I'm using a wax pencil is because it removes really easily, and the wax actually draws on really well for on your black pieces of form ply. So I find that instead of versus using just a normal white colouring pencil, the wax works a great deal better. Okay, so I've got my 30-degree angle here. So I'm going to align my ruler with my straight edge and the corner to the corner, and I'm going to draw one of my angled lines, and I'm going to do the same for the additional line. Now I have the basic outline for where my web is going to go. So it's a matter of just hand drawing my angled curves in now. And we have our corner spider web. So I actually like to make a little bit of a template to have a good guideline of where my resin is going to go. You can do it without making a template, but I just find that especially when you're working with right angles, it's best to just have your markings down first so you know and have a guide to work with for your UV resin. So next step now is to start applying our UV resin. So all I'm going to do is follow my lines, and I'm going to do 2 big lines at a time, so that way I have enough coverage with my UV blacklight lamp. If I try to do it all at once, my lamp might actually sit in some of the wet resin, so I want to make sure that I have sections dried that fit under the lamp. Okay, so we'll pop our UV lamp on. because we want to cure this resin. We want to make sure that we've got coverage but not actually touching the wet resin. Now I'm just putting it on. This lamp has settings, so 99 seconds is its highest setting, and I will probably give that 2 or 3 goes. With the UV curing resin, you do need to have it cured for around about the 5-minute mark. So what I'm going to do is pop it on for 2 lots of 99 seconds, then I'll do my extra 2 main lines in the cobweb, and while I'm doing that, some of these lights will bounce back off onto the section that's already partially cured. So we're covering our time and making sure that our UV curing resin is cured correctly. You can actually just tap your UV cured resin to see if it feels sticky or if it feels hard, and I'm just tapping away here and it's not sticky and it is hard. So I'm going to move to my other 2 main lines. Okay, so I'll put some UV light on those. If you happen to go off of your lines too far, or the resin sort of tends to seep too far away, you can actually just, before curing it, wipe it off a little bit with like a pure isopropyl and a cloth, just so you can either wipe it off completely and start again, or you can just wipe the area that it might have moved from your line. And now that I have these main parts cured as well, I can actually build on top of it to make my wall a little bit deeper. So that way when I do put a layer of Resi Clear in, I know that it's not going to bleed into each section of the web. And one reason I like to use the lamp, the UV blacklight lamp, over a torch is that I can actually get a wider area to cure at the one time. If I'm doing small fiddly pieces with the Resi Ultra Cure UV resin, then I would use my UV blacklight torch and actually hold it in place. Now while I've got the back end of this curing, I'm actually going to start drawing in my rounded lines for my web, because it's currently not under the UV light. The reason that the Resi Ultra Cure is in a black bottle as well is because over time this resin will cure under UV activation. So if it is in a clear bottle and you've got it in a room where the UV lights come to filter through a window or anything like that, over time it will slowly cure. So it is something you have to be mindful of when you are doing these pieces. And I was doing it right beside the light being on before. Sometimes it may start to cure as it's coming out of the bottle and it may block the nozzle. If that's the case, just pick it off and start again. It doesn't block what's inside the bottle, it just blocks the nozzle a little bit. I'm just going to pop my timer on for another 99 seconds on my lamp. But while I'm waiting for that, I'm actually going to start mixing up my Resi Clear batch. It's only a small batch. So if you refer to our mixing video, you'll be able to see the process involved in measuring out and mixing any of our resins. Jump back across to our spiderweb and we'll do our additional rounded web lines. While the UV lamp is curing the corner of the web, I'm just going to do one more layer and build it up, just so it's a little bit higher. So we have our cured spiderweb corner. I'll divide up some of our Resi Clear into 3 little cups here. I've got 2 dyes, translucent dyes. We've got fluorescent orange and we've got scarlet red. Now I'm going to do 1 red, 1 a combination of the red and orange, and 1 orange, and we'll pour that into these little channels. So with our UV cured resin now, it almost acts like a template. So I'm able to pour in my Resi Clear and let that cure. In my little cups, the translucent dye looks relatively concentrated, but because I'm only pouring it out at like a mil depth, I want to make sure I've got enough colour in there so when we do demold the job that you can still see it in that like millimetre pour. And by having 1 orange and red colour and 1 red colour, it'll give me a transition of colours, so a little bit of like a Halloween sunset from orange through to red. Okay, so now it's time for me to pour into our channels. Now I've poured in the centre of each of my sections. I don't want to overfill it, so I've poured in the centre and then I'm going to work the resin out to my corners. Okay, for our red-orange through the centre. because I've used a fluorescent orange against my black backing board, it is coming out looking like it's got a little bit of a green tone to it, but that is just the fluorescent nature of the dye. And it technically glows under UV blacklight too. And lucky last, our red in the back end of the web. Okay. So I've filled all my channels. I'm going to give it a nice mist with Resi Isopropyl just to pop those bubbles that I've got. Then I'm going to let this cure. Resi Clear takes 24 hours to cure. So after it's reached that 24-hour mark, I can demold it, and we'll show you how that demold process works right now. Okay, my spiderweb corner that I prepared earlier, I have a paint scraper and a hammer because I just want to get under the lip of it and demold it. And we have our spiderweb, which looks pretty cool. What I'd like to do though is, because when I put the UV resin as my lines for my spiderweb, I'd actually like to enhance them a little bit more. So I've just got a permanent marker and I'm just going to go over those lines, and then we'll have our finished product. So we can see with the addition of my black lines, it's really enhanced the contrast of the colour that I've popped in, and really sort of, I guess, given it its final look. Check out our orange colour. I think that looks pretty funky. Suits the Halloween theme. I'm going to pop the marker on this one as well, so that way I can enhance my lines, and we have two corner pieces. And with that little extra touch of black, it's our finished product. So remember to like, subscribe, and if you have any comments or questions, drop them below. But stay tuned as we have a few different Halloween options coming up for you over the next coming weeks. So we look forward to creating some spooky content with you. Till next time, see you guys.